Nando's Chicken grew their orders by 6 times after adding QR code table ordering to their locations. Welcome to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. We'll talk about that plus a whole lot more. This is episode 1. Hey, it's Gordon. This is the Restaurant Growth Show podcast where we talk about how restaurants can use their technology to boost their sales. We've got a lot to talk about this episode, but first, let's introduce our guests. First, we have Jose Albas, co-founder and chief growth officer at Modern. With more than 25 years of online marketing experience, Jose has successfully founded and operated companies in software and hospitality. Jose's passion is to continue to build technology to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Right beside Jose, we have Alex Cook, VP of Sales and also a co-founder at Modern. Alex's experience in the hospitality industry spans 30 years, including 16 years selling POS solutions throughout North America. Alex's deep understanding of consumer behavior led him to pioneer hospitality mobile ordering solutions. Lastly, who am I? I'm your host. My name is Gordon. I am the resident digital marketer at Modern. I specialize in demand generation, paid advertising, organic search, and email marketing strategy. I run a digital marketing program called 90 Days to Success at Modern, where I teach, you guessed it, restaurateurs how to sell their food online through digital marketing. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
We're doing awesome, Gordon. Thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Thank you.
Welcome. Awesome. So welcome to episode 1. We're really excited about the Restaurant Growth Show marketing podcast. So Nando's Chicken 6x'd or multiplied their orders by 6 times by adding QR code ordering to their online ordering system. You guys have been doing online ordering for quite some time now. Are you guys at all surprised by the growth by Nando's?
Not really. I mean, it's amazing to see that some of the pieces of technology are contributing so clearly to the growth of a company like Nando's or anyone. By the looks of it, they have implemented QR codes really well. I think that probably it's beyond just the simple QR code. I have a QR code that pulls a menu. I'm pretty sure that it is more. I have not seen it, but I'm certain that it is something that, if properly done, I'm going to think an increase in performance for a restaurant, especially during the times of where there is challenges with staffing. And why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I would add there's no secret. There's a labor shortage out there, and it's one of the number one issues facing the hospitality industry, not just out here on the West Coast, but right throughout North America and beyond. And when you take a look at companies like Nando's, what makes it successful when they're going to the QR code table ordering is that they're invested into the program. And I think for anything like this, any sort of new program that we're implementing, if the restaurateur is invested, they'll see success. If they're not invested in it and they just sort of implement it with hopes that it's going to be successful, they're not going to see the results that they're hoping for.
Absolutely. And it sounds to me like, Nando's is, a very well, obviously they're a very well-known brand. They've been around for quite some time. It's a very popular quick service brand down in the United States. And the ability for them to roll out sort of initiatives just like that, like the QR code ordering, the table service, kind of leads me into more of Jose's expertise here. Jose, in your experience, what are some of the ways that additional ways that multi-location organizations like Nando's can not only boost their sales, but they can optimize their operations similarly with QR codes? What's been your experience in that?
Data. It's all about managing information. It's all about being able to structure information flow in a way that supports operations from a both centralized from headquarters all the way to also some independence at the location level, so that the organization can achieve two things. One, operate as an entity with a flow that optimizes operations, but most importantly, that at the location level, they have the flexibility and the capacity to actually serve that local surrounding neighborhood that may have that nuances and differences that will make them successful at the local level. So it's a global optimization, but also empowering the location so that they can actually give that personal service that all eaters usually enjoy so much.
Absolutely. Alex, with your background in POS, working with restaurateurs and operators, what are some of the differences in pain points that you have seen with restaurateurs during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and I use air quotes?
Good question. So let's go during the pandemic. The biggest challenge facing restaurateurs of all different types during the pandemic, especially those who had in-seat dining, was the fact that they lost their in-seat dining. And then they're also competing with the dollar of delivery companies. So the DoorDashes, Uber Eats of the world, which were taking a healthy profit. And that was the number one pain point in the hospitality industry, but also it's one of those services they couldn't live with and couldn't live without. They were providing a valuable service, but they were also cutting into their profit margins. So, when we look at a situation like this from a restaurateur's perspective, they have a lot invested in their company. At the end of the day, they need to be able to have some sort of profit level. If they're giving it all away, then what's left at the end of the day? You're basically providing yourself a paycheck. So we take a look at how we can put the ownership of the app and the brand back into the company's hands and help them keep some of that profit. And we do that through both takeout and also delivery. We'll talk about data later. When I look at as the pandemic is starting to be in our rearview mirror, the main thing facing us right now, the main challenge for hospitality operators is the shortage of employees. The delivery side is still there. That's not a question. And I think as we move away from the pandemic, it's about understanding what is the right online ordering solution for your business moving forward, and understanding the power of online ordering as a customer facing tool that can help provide a restaurateur with so much information, both at the table level, takeout, delivery, that they can use this to help build their clientele base, but also maintain it and also create customer loyalty so the customers are coming back on a regular basis. And that's what I see right now is how do we deal with this employee shortage? The QR code ordering is one solution. Everybody has a phone now. Everybody understands how QR codes work. They've all ordered online at some level, but this can be used in a number of different ways. It could be 100% ordering from the table with a QR code paid every time. It could be a hybrid where the server is still managing the table. And if you're doing it from the table, it could be that you either pick it up at a specific pickup location, bring it back to the table, or a server delivers the food to your table. It's just about thinking outside of the box for a lot of these operators and realizing that there are solutions that they don't have to invest a ton of money into. If we take a look at self-order kiosks, which has come up on a regular basis, that costs a lot of money. You have to invest in the hardware. There's new software. Everything needs to be rewritten in a code that works for the kiosk. The reality is we all have a kiosk, every one of us. So this is a self-ordering kiosk at the table.
That's a great point. I never really made that connection. The handheld kiosk. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the other piece that that we hear a lot is that with that complaint, it creates a lot of noise, and only a few restaurateurs, I would say, have come and realized that or that know enough their business and their operations that they understand how many people could be replaced, but not replaced like taking the job away, but replaced by in terms of operations for efficiencies through a QR code. Like some may understand that from 5 staff running around in the restaurant, they could go down to 2 or sometimes 1, just because of the QR code. Only one person that actually goes, picks up the food, and has all that personalization, that information of the customer that's there in the table before they even talk to them the first time. Is Mr. Alex, how would you like the same steak like as before? We know that you've ordered it before, and they can give a further service that doesn't require for you to be memorizing, to be that awesome waiter that it memorizes all the information of the regulars. Anybody could have an experience as a regular. Everybody could be treated as a VIP.
That's medium rare, by the way. That's how I like my steak. I'm going to make one more point on this, and this is something we talk about with businesses, and we hope that this really sets in. We're not out there to try to take away any jobs from service staff or employees, but the fact is, if you're struggling trying to find employees, you still are trying to create a business model that's going to work for you and your customers. I have a saying out there, and this is what we talk to with our clients, that this is the cheapest employee that you can hire. And tell me another employee that can do customer acquisition, customer retention, customer loyalty, do table delivery, take out orders, organize them, and do delivery right to the home for a small monthly fee. Think about that.
And memorize by the last time that they came, what they ordered, why they prefer, and all of those details that make the user experience or the guest experience so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. The level of personalization that we're really getting into, that restaurants necessarily aren't used to automating, are beginning to conceptualize what that is like and how to roll that out with certain programs. So pivoting a little bit of our conversation, there seems to be, from a macro level, from an industry level, a bit of a dip, I guess you would say, for various reasons, in terms of consumers ordering online, especially from restaurants, over the last few months. Is this, in your opinion, and this question can go out to the both of you, is this a trend? Are we trending downwards? Is this something that you've seen before? What's happening here?
I'll take I don't think it's dipped as much as it's plateaued, but that's a natural evolution of what's happened in a post-pandemic era. So during the pandemic, when there's no table seating, everybody is ordering online. So now that table seating is opened up and we're in summer and people are traveling again, it's only natural that we're going to see a plateau or even a slight dip, as you said, Gordon, when it comes to online ordering. Long term, I think we're just at the beginning of where this whole industry is going. And as we move into fall and winter time, well, guess what? All these restaurants that are super busy right now in the summertime are going to be looking for ways to get their sales back up again when it naturally slows down, which typically in most markets, not every market, because some actually do better in the winter, but they will slow down in certain parts of fall and winter compared to spring and summertime.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, just thinking about, weather, obviously it's nice outside. I don't mind walking down to, my favorite restaurants close by. Tend to order delivery or takeout a little bit less during these warm months. But man, when it gets cold out, I think that, yeah, I'm definitely trying to stay warm at home, under the covers, and get that takeout, get those pizzas delivered right to my front door. So I guess that does make a lot of sense.
Also, employees are going to be coming back to work. We're going to see more employees in the office as we start to get back to normal, more and more, but even more so as the summer's ended. People are finishing their summer holidays. The kids are back in school. Well, now we're back into these programs. We have to take care of feeding the kids and the family, and we're on a much tighter time budget. So how do we manage that? And I think that's why you're going to start to see the interest pick up again as soon as we hit beginning of September.
I think that also in general, as there was a big adoption of mobile commerce, e-commerce during the pandemic, but there was also a big adoption of technology by restaurants, which also means that if played well, there will be that the digital space for restaurants will become eventually competitive. Like with restaurants, this is also going to be part of what they do. I know that there's a romanticism like that we're going to back to normal, therefore back to normal is almost I don't need online. But the reality is that technology usually stays in one form or another, and it has an impact because the user at the end is the one that drives it. So what will happen is that technology will become easier for restaurants to use, and they will get into doing much more activities that are related to online and technology. Is just because it's just going to be that new natural space where users hang out. Therefore, you better hang out there so that you can continue selling and growing your business. It's going to become more critical. So as soon as we go after this realization and we finally get over the romanticism that we're going to go back to normal, and there's a new understanding, it really sinks in. Those activities will start to drive a growth in the industry that we haven't seen, that may have been a little bit fantastical because of the pandemic, but then after that drops and stabilizes, it will continue be gradually higher, but not much higher than just the organic natural before technology was actually being adopted so much space.
Yeah, that's
So on
fair.
that note,
Mhm.
Gordon, I have a question for you, and maybe you
Shoot,
can continue on this part of the
I'm
conversation.
all
But
for it. Let's go.
it, in my experience right now, restaurants still don't understand the power of online ordering as a customer acquisition tool. Why do you think that is?
That is a very loaded question. That's a great question.
No
And
simple questions here, Gordon.
that's right. That's right. No, I appreciate
No
that.
curveballs.
In working with literally hundreds of small business owners, operators, and restaurateurs, it I think Jose touched on it as well. That adoption of the technology within the restaurant industry, within hospitality, was never a priority. The priority was in-house seating and the ambiance and the experience. And restaurateurs and operators never really needed to pay attention to digital. That was some fantastical world that people who were selling t-shirts needed to pay attention to. And obviously we get smacked in the face with the pandemic, and all of a sudden all of these restaurants are empty. But these owners and operators obviously needed to continue on. They needed to survive. And so they were a little bit behind the eight ball. Not a little bit, they were a lot. There were a lot of restaurants out there in North America and all across the world that just flat out had to learn digital in a very short period of time. And so that's when we saw that's where that learning curve, or, all of this new technology and knowledge sort of slaps you in the face and go, okay, what do I need to figure out first? And so to answer your question, Alex, the reason why is because they didn't have to before, and then all of a sudden, abruptly, overnight, they had to learn digital. And that's where the 90 days to success program comes in, and that's where the education portion really benefits those operators who were open-minded and willing to learn something new. And it's those operators out there who have the business acumen to learn new technology. And that gap right there is it's a willingness to learn. And I truly believe that we can all learn something new. It doesn't matter how complicated it is necessarily. If we put in the time and the effort, and we have the support system around us, which we genuinely do at Modern, that's part of our culture. We are genuinely trying to help operators succeed and survive, and not just survive but thrive, as Alex aptly puts on a regular basis. And so we're not asking you to learn how to code, we're not asking you to create a website or anything like that, but there are some basic fundamentals that we love to walk these operators through. And so digital marketing, if you throw a rock, you're going to hit 10 digital marketers, in the head. They're a dime a dozen, but the ones that specialize within hospitality are the ones that you want to surround yourselves with, that are the ones that you want to learn from, and the ones who genuinely want you to succeed, and they're not trying to sell you a monthly SEO package. And I know all of the restaurateurs out here have been approached by an SEO professional, trying to charge them $500 to $1,500 a month to do SEO, which, I mean, that's a whole other episode. But again, to make a long answer even longer, it's a matter of opening yourself up and being willing to learn something new, because it's an investment and it will help your restaurant grow. It will help your organization grow. It will help optimize your operations. It will help you move forward and continue to thrive.
So maybe for our listeners here, Gordon, just to expand on that, is when you create a brick and mortar store and then you have service staff, you're creating an ambiance, and you're creating a brand awareness based on the look, the feel, the food, the location, everything. On the digital side, it's really important for restaurateurs and digital marketers to try to capture that emotion that you want to portray about your business. And that comes down to everything from the high quality images that are provided, the descriptions of the food, so they're mouth-watering and appetizing, to adding things like calorie counts, but also what is the message that you want your customers to get from because really the important thing that I see here compared to the traditional point of sale world, which was where I came from, is this is not an employee facing tool. This is a customer facing tool. It's extremely powerful. So how do we protect that emotion and feeling that you want as an extension of your company brand, not just merely looking at it as an online ordering, piece. It really is. I look at it now as the most important piece of technology that a restaurant can have to acquire new customers, retain them, and create that customer loyalty.
So,
all while helping reduce your expenses, right? Which is more profit back to the restaurateur.
So would you say, Alex, that the POS, who's been traditionally being the center of restaurant operations, is mobile going to be the next?
I remember the days back when, and I'm an older guy, so this goes back a while, when we went from pen and paper, the old traditional, hi, what can I get for you, to the first computerized point of sale systems. This is a Romanco. And I tell you, it was so complicated, it made grown men cry. Seriously. And then there was an evolution. So the point of sale systems got easier. They became more important as a tool, and we gravitated from, why do we go from pen and paper? Because now we have controls in place. It's helping reduce the cost. It's a piece of equipment that is an investment that makes sense to restaurateurs because they're getting a return on their investment, right? It's helping them increase their profitability. It's helping them operate their business. It's helping putting controls in place. I see this as the next extension from the point of sale system, and an important one. And once restaurateurs fully understand the power of what we have here, that is when we're really going to start to see the shift. And we're seeing it already, because there's going to be a lead with certain restaurants. And just like everything, when Starbucks and McDonald's and Tim Hortons introduced online ordering, well, guess what? They set the precedent. Now everybody else is following. And that's normally the way. But they're starting to invest heavily into the data and being able to market back to the customer. So this is a way for a small independent or mid-sized restaurant chain literally to compete with the big boys without having to invest tens or hundreds, if not millions of dollars for a solution like what we have to offer.
That's a great point.
I got a question for Jose, based on where we're seeing the industry move right now. I'd like to see if you can help explain to us what it means to have a highly configurable solution for both enterprise and to the smaller independent restaurateur in comparison to a one-size-fits-all approach.
That's a great question. So what we know as, or the first stage of online ordering, it's what we've experienced as of today, which is that very similar to e-commerce, right? So we've learned through a website's a website, a store is a store, and therefore that's how we started to create what is actually the online restaurant experience, moving into through a website, right? Now, as you know, every restaurant is different, and when it comes to serving someone in real life, when a guest is at the restaurant, there are so many possibilities in how you can offer an experience. And we're in the infancy of what that experience looks like for a restaurant and a brand to be able to transfer that emotional connection that someone has to the experience in real life, the brand. And it's like a Pavlovian thing. The restaurant, you think about the brand, and you think about the restaurant, you think about the burger that you remember the smile of the
You want to get my mouth watering, right? Drooling.
You remember the laugh with the funny waiter, the guy at the bar, all of that. It's encompassing of what the brand is meant to evoke when you see it, right? So that power, now we need to be able to, or a brand, the power of online is that it should be able to actually offer that online. Okay, I have I will never forget an experience of mine with a client of ours, that when people met me and say, hey, have you ordered from there? And they would say, oh my god, that's what you do. Yeah, that's what I do. And they'd say, oh my god, I love it. It's like being there. It's just like it's very similar to like ordering, when you go to the restaurant, you're there, the waiter usually stands there with you to give you recommendations and what to pair this with that, and the aioli that people prefer for this burger or this other one, and what to add to it, and what are the favorites. And they stay there like for 5 minutes. And sometimes and so what the feedback was, that it was like being there. And the way that the flow for that restaurant, the way that it was organized, it was exactly that, where you sit, and when the pairings are offered, and then you go to the next part, and then the other pieces are there, and then the drinks, and all of that replicated inside an online experience in a way that feels that it's like you have, like the feedback that I was getting was like, it was like having the waiter there, but instead of the 5 minutes, that sometimes they only had three, because if the restaurant was busy, they could only do so much.
Sometimes they only have 3 seconds.
Sometimes,
Are
exactly.
you good? Are you good? Can I get you anything? And they're up, right?
Exactly. So in this case,
Usually when your mouth is full, that's when they come.
Exactly. Yes. I think that's a requirement, actually. Yeah.
yeah. So now it's in your own time, without forgetting a single aioli or combination that they recommend, with all the possibilities and more, and in a way that makes sense, that replicates what they may have had in the same experience in the same order, as it was in real life. So that in same order and replicating that experience is what a flexible and configurable system should be able to offer as a difference between brands. Additionally, there's different ways of serving. Like now, yes, we know takeout, delivery. But nowadays, I mean, we have the table service or QR code,
Classroom delivery.
Classroom delivery. There's stall ordering.
In-room dining.
McDonald's, you come, and there's a stall there that you park, and you start making calls and stuff. As you place it, put the stall number, they bring it to you. Curbside pickup, you arrive and then describe the car, and then they look for the car, they bring it to you. Very similar, but the difference is that, for example, as much as they're very similar, there's subtleties that make the experience different. Where you come, it's like, this is a spot, another preferential experience, that I park in stall 1, and I'm here with the kids waiting, and I have the time to order, and everybody, they feel like they're in McDonald's without leaving the car. So you don't have to be rallying them around and everything like that, but you're having at McDonald's, let's go to McDonald's, but you never left. So
now I read, I just to add to that, I read recently that there's a big national chain. I'm not going to name who it is, but they're currently testing out drive-through without going to the big speaker menu board. But the drive-through is all going to be used. I keep pointing to my phone with the device as the ordering tool. Now, if you've ever seen one of those menu boards, they're definitely not cheap. Those are tens of thousands of dollars. But the purpose of this pilot for this particular chain is to improve the experience and improve the expediency of getting that order back to the customer. And they've done enough testing already to prove that this works. And once the pilot's complete, we will likely see this chain wide right across the country. And I think that's part of the configurable part that we're talking about is as we understand the solution that's in front of us and we have it in practice and we want to extend it or grow it or add more features or functions in our business, a highly configurable solution will adapt to our business needs instead of the other way around where we have to adapt to the flexibility or lack of whatever the system has to offer.
That chain is McDonald's, isn't it? You don't
No,
have to say. You don't have
it's
to.
not, but I won't say who it is,
Well,
but I'll tell you it's not.
They're,
McDonald's.
I mean, they're making really, really big moves in the digital space, and they are all in on mobile ordering and e-commerce. So
what they do that are they and McDonald's because it's already out there uh is that actually they haven't gotten it completely fine-tuned, especially here. They do have the geofence to locate the distance of the car and the busyness of the drive-through, so that when you place the order, they time the production of the order depending on the geofence where you're located, and if there's a line, they calculate everything so that you go through it like if you were placing an order on like spoken, but it's a little bit faster, and it's timed exactly so that it's the maximum experience of the order by the time you pick it up.
similar to the back of house speed and efficiency that they've become famous for, right?
That's what that's right. You know, the success of these fast food chains has been about their innovation on how quickly they can get the product to the customer. You know, an interesting part though, when we take a look at these national organizations, um, they are paving the way, but essentially a smaller independent restaurant, they don't even have to have a traditional drive-through as we know it, but they can create a drive-through that would work very similar using again the technology that costs a small monthly fee without having to go through all the research and development of putting this together, hoping it might work, right? So the risk is really quite minimal to even try or pilot, but you have that flexibility, that configurability to grow with your business needs as needed.
So
You know, who would have known we would have been in a labor shortage a year and a half ago? That was a big
Right.
surprise to a lot of people, not everybody, but to a lot of people, it was a big surprise. Caught everyone off guard.
correct, I agree, and I think that it was yeah, it was definitely a surprise. Nobody saw that that something like that could happen, that if a particular labor segment shrunk, then it would not come back the same way when it opened up
It
again.
dispersed,
Once,
really.
once those people left for other industries, they're not coming back into the industry again.
For a ton of a ton of different
For a
reasons.
while.
And
It's going to
yeah.
take, yeah, it's going to take time for it to recorrect itself.
It has to be new, fresh blood. So I have a question for both of you, because I have a lot of thoughts about it, but at the same time, I usually like to see what others think. Is that what do you think is that ethos, that point of view that gets in the way of the small restaurateur to think, or and this is of course a hypothesis there, that what the big brands doing, it's not gonna work, or is it what the big brands doing is gotta be so expensive? So if a solution provider is able to, at a very affordable and return investment, safe proof way of delivering or offering this, what gets in the way of them seeing that it is available to them too?
That's a great loaded question as well. From my perspective, what I see getting in the way is time, not having enough of it, or not dedicating enough of it to it, or having enough resources to be able to have someone to be able to manage this properly. And I know that we're working on solutions for those businesses that don't have the resources, so that we can take over on the digital marketing side. And then they, for a small monthly fee, but a big return on investment, and not having to hire someone in house, they can get the same type of results as if they had their own in-house marketing team working with some of our proven techniques to get customers to the app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, time is, to me, time is more valuable than money. To answer your question, Jose, I think it's multi-pronged for sure. There's a level of intimidation. There's a level of societal conditioning that the big boys will always beat out the little guys, right? The Walmarts will always close the local convenience store, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go in with that mentality that we cannot compete whatsoever, then an industry leveling tool like online ordering with your own mobile application sort of doesn't resonate necessarily to a small business owner. But here we are with that tool that levels that playing field. That tool still opens them up to so many additional customer acquisition channels, and that does allow them to compete. So it's not an all for naught or a losing scenario. So I think it's mentality, and if going in with the right attitude and being open to learning those new channels, learning the new technology, it doesn't take that long. You really can, maybe not compete with McDonald's, but you don't have to directly compete with a McDonald's. You can definitely compete in your space and thrive and do well.
Well, I would go also just to carry on that note. I think there's a lot of education from our side, when we're working with clients, because there's that old saying, you don't know what you don't know, and they're still not fully understanding what is capable from them when we're moving into this new type of technology. So we're doing our best to work with clients and educate them, but there needs to be a buy-in. So they got to believe in what they're investing in. And they also, as we talked about earlier, they have to partner. So they also have to invest themselves into the product to get the outcome. And that's where we started this whole podcast is, in what are we investing in? Why are we investing in it? And how much do I need to invest myself as a business owner to get a good return? And why should I invest? And those are the questions they need to start asking themselves, and know that there is an answer and there is some mentorship along the way, but they also have to be open to it. And most importantly, they need to make time for it. If they don't make time for it, it's no different than saying, here's a daily special, but I'm not going to put it on the menu board. I'm not going to put it on the menu. I'm not going to tell the servers. And at the end of the day, I'm going to wonder why I didn't sell any specials. It's because no one knew it existed.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Flip that around. If people know it exists, you're invested in it, the messaging is clear. Guess what? People are going to buy into it. But
Actually,
it takes two to tango.
Absolutely, and
Right?
and the sad part is that
I sound like an old man when I say that, right? It takes two to tango, but I am an old man, so
What's
I'm okay.
tango?
It takes
It's
two to
not
rave.
new though. It's not new.
It takes two to yeah.
To rave.
To rave. That's still old. That's 40s. Yeah, that's
That's right.
All right, guys. I know that we're all pressed for time here. There's lots on the go. Thank you guys for participating, showing up here, shedding some insight, from your, vast experience, many years of experience, and not just from a place of experience, but a place of genuine care and genuine passion to see merchants and operators thrive and do well and succeed. I echo those sentiments. I genuinely care about the people that I work with, not just within our organization, but outside it as well. So I want to thank you guys for spending the time. I want to thank the people for tuning in to the Restaurant Growth Show, episode 1. This has been a blast, and I can't wait for episode 2. Thanks, guys.
Me too.
All right.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
Awesome.
Love
Okay.
that we can keep going on forever.